In the warm summer days of July 1930, the world's first FIFA World Cup unfolded in the South American nation of Uruguay. The choice of Uruguay as host was deliberate and meaningful. This small country, nestled between the larger nations of Argentina and Brazil, had been selected partly to mark the centenary of its first constitution, a celebration of national independence and identity. The tournament would become part of Uruguay's broader centennial festivities, adding a global dimension to their national celebrations. The journey to this first World Cup had not been an easy proposition for many nations. In those days, international travel meant long voyages across the ocean, particularly challenging for European teams who faced weeks aboard steamships to reach South America. The expense and time commitment proved too much for many nations. Of the 13 teams that ultimately participated, 7 came from South America, 4 made the arduous journey from Europe, and 2 traveled from North America. The limited European participation would later influence decisions about future tournament locations. This inaugural tournament operated without the qualifying competitions that would become standard in later years. Instead, all participating teams received invitations directly from FIFA. The matches took place exclusively in Montevideo, Uruguay's capital city, using just 3 stadiums. This concentration of venues created an intimate atmosphere, with the tournament unfolding across just over 2 weeks, from the 13th to the 30th of July. The competition brought together nations with varying levels of football experience and different styles of play. The South American teams, particularly Uruguay and Argentina, had been developing their football traditions for decades. They brought a technical sophistication and tactical awareness that reflected the deep cultural importance of the sport in their countries. The European teams who made the journey, including France, Belgium, Romania, and Yugoslavia, represented the emerging European football culture, though the small number of European participants would remain a source of disappointment for the organizers. As the tournament progressed through its group stages, certain teams began to distinguish themselves. Uruguay, playing before their home crowds, demonstrated the form that had made them Olympic champions in 1924 and 1928. Their players moved with confidence and purpose, knowing they carried the expectations of an entire nation. Argentina showed similar strength, advancing through their matches with commanding performances that signaled their intention to challenge the hosts for the title. The path to the final brought together these 2 South American neighbors, setting up a match that would transcend sport and become a defining moment in both nations' histories. The build-up to the final created enormous excitement across the River Plate region. In Montevideo, the city prepared for what would be the biggest sporting event it had ever hosted. The Estadio Centenario, built specifically for the tournament and Uruguay's centennial celebrations, would provide the stage for this historic encounter. On July 30th, approximately 68,000 spectators filled the Centenario Stadium. The atmosphere was charged with anticipation and nervous energy. When the match began, both teams played with intensity and skill. Argentina and Uruguay traded goals in a contest that swung back and forth. By the match's conclusion, Uruguay had prevailed by 4 goals to Argentina's 2, claiming victory in the first World Cup final ever played. The celebrations in Montevideo that followed were extraordinary. Streets filled with jubilant crowds, and the following day was declared a national holiday. Uruguay had won the first World Cup on home soil, cementing their place in football history. Across the River Plate in Buenos Aires, the mood was considerably different, as Argentine supporters dealt with the disappointment of coming so close to glory. The tournament had demonstrated that global football competition was possible and compelling. Despite the challenges of distance and expense, despite the limited participation from some regions, the World Cup had captured imaginations and created moments of drama and excellence. The top scorer of the tournament was Argentina's Guillermo Stabil, who found the net 8 times across the competition, though his goals could not bring his team the ultimate prize. This first World Cup established traditions and patterns that would echo through the decades to come. It showed that football could unite people across borders, could create shared moments of joy and heartbreak, and could serve as a stage for national pride and international fellowship. The tournament had been a beginning, an experiment that succeeded beyond many expectations, and it set in motion a global sporting tradition that would grow with each passing cycle. 4 years after Uruguay's triumph, the World Cup made its journey to Europe for the first time. Italy had been selected to host the second edition of the tournament, and the competition would unfold across various Italian cities during the late spring and early summer of 1934, from May 27th through June 10th. The Italy of 1934 was a nation under fascist rule, led by Benito Mussolini, and the government viewed the World Cup as an opportunity to project Italian strength and organizational capability to the watching world. This second World Cup marked an important evolution in the tournament structure. For the first time, teams would need to navigate a qualifying competition to earn their place in the finals. The qualification process attracted entries from 32 nations, all competing for just 16 places in the final tournament. This expansion of interest demonstrated how quickly the World Cup had captured the imagination of football federations around the globe. The absence of Uruguay, the defending champions, cast a shadow over the tournament. Uruguay chose not to participate, motivated partly by disappointment at the limited European participation in their 1930 tournament. They also faced economic constraints that made the journey to Europe difficult during those challenging times. Their decision meant that for the first time, though not the last, a World Cup would proceed without its defending champion. The tournament format differed significantly from the first World Cup. Rather than beginning with group stages, Italy 1934 employed a straight knockout structure from the very first matches. This meant that every game carried the weight of potential elimination. There would be no opportunity to recover from a defeat, no second chances for teams that stumbled in their opening encounters. The pressure this created was immense, and it fundamentally changed the nature of how teams approached their matches. The competition began with a round of 16, and the matches quickly revealed both the beauty and brutality that could emerge from such high-stakes football. Teams approached their games with caution and determination, knowing that a single mistake could end their World Cup dreams. Some matches flowed with attacking intent, while others became tense. Physical battles where defensive solidity took precedence over creative expression. Among the notable matches of the opening round, Spain and Brazil played out a particularly intense encounter that ended in a draw, forcing a replay the very next day. The quick turnaround left both teams little time to recover, and when they met again, Spain emerged victorious, though both sides bore the marks of 2 consecutive hard-fought contests. Austria, known for their sophisticated passing game, defeated France and advanced to the next stage. Switzerland caused a surprise by overcoming the Netherlands, while Germany, Hungary, and Sweden also progressed through their matches. Italy, playing as hosts and carrying enormous expectations from their government and supporters, advanced past the United States. The home nation's progress brought relief to Italian officials who had invested heavily in the tournament's success. As the competition moved into the quarterfinals, the remaining 8 teams knew they were just 2 victories away from reaching the final. The quarter-final matches brought together some of Europe's strongest footballing nations. Italy faced Spain in a contest that would require extra time to resolve, with Italy eventually prevailing. Germany defeated Sweden, Austria overcame Hungary, and Czechoslovakia eliminated Switzerland. The 4 semi-finalists represented Central European football at its finest, each team bringing distinct tactical approaches and playing philosophies to their matches. In the semifinals, Italy met Austria in a match played in Milan. The Austrians were considered among the tournament favorites, known for their technical skill and tactical sophistication. However, Italy rose to the occasion, defeating Austria to reach the final. The other semi-final saw Czechoslovakia overcome Germany, setting up a final that would pit Italy against the Czechs in Rome. The final took place in Rome on June 10th before a large crowd that included Mussolini himself. The match unfolded as a tense, closely contested affair. Czechoslovakia took an early lead, and for much of the match it appeared they might claim the trophy. However, as the game moved into its final stages, Italy found an equalizer, forcing the match into extra time. In those additional minutes, with energy fading but determination strong, Italy scored again and held on to win by 2-1. The victory made Italy the first host nation to win the World Cup, a feat that brought enormous satisfaction to the Italian government and people. The tournament's top scorer was Czechoslovakia's Oldrich Nejedly, who had found the net 5 times across the competition despite his team's final defeat. For Italy, the triumph represented not just sporting success but a propaganda victory for the fascist regime, which used the win to promote its vision of Italian strength and superiority. The 1934 World Cup had shown that the competition could thrive in Europe, drawing substantial crowds and generating intense interest. The knockout format had created drama and tension, though it also meant that some strong teams were eliminated after just a single match. The tournament had continued to build the World Cup's global reputation and established it as an event of genuine international significance. The third World Cup moved to France in the early summer of 1938, taking place from June 4th through June 19th. Europe would host the tournament for the second consecutive time, a decision that disappointed many South American nations who felt the competition should alternate between continents. The world into which this tournament arrived was darkening with political tension. In March of 1938, Nazi Germany had annexed Austria in the event known as the Anschluss, and Austria's qualified team withdrew from the tournament as their nation ceased to exist as an independent entity. This left the competition with 15 participating teams instead of 16. Italy arrived in France as defending champions, and under the tournament's rules they automatically qualified for the finals. They would be attempting to become the first nation to successfully retain the World Cup title, a challenge that would test their ability to maintain the form and organization that had brought them victory 4 years earlier. The Italians carried with them the expectations of their government and the pride of their previous triumph. The tournament continued to use the knockout format that had been employed in 1934. From the very first round, teams faced the prospect of elimination with each match. This structure created an environment where caution often competed with ambition, where the fear of defeat could sometimes override the desire to attack. Yet despite these pressures, the tournament produced moments of exceptional skill and dramatic contests that captivated those who watched. Weather conditions played a significant role throughout the competition. Several matches were contested under heavy rain that turned pitches into difficult, muddy surfaces. The conditions made controlling the ball challenging, and physical strength became as important as technical skill. Players found themselves slipping and sliding, and the quality of play sometimes suffered as a result of the elements. These soggy conditions added an extra layer of unpredictability to matches that were already laden with tension. Brazil emerged as one of the tournament's most exciting teams, playing with flair and creativity despite the difficult conditions. Their forward Leonidas became the star of the competition, scoring goals with remarkable consistency and skill. His performances brought Brazilian football to European attention in ways that would foreshadow the nation's future dominance of the sport. Leonidas would finish as the tournament's top scorer with 7 goals, a remarkable achievement given that Brazil did not reach the final. The knockout rounds produced a series of memorable encounters. Italy, wearing the pressure of defending their title, navigated through their matches with determination. They defeated Norway in extra time in their opening match, then overcame the host nation France in the quarter-finals. Their path to the final was not always smooth, but their experience and tactical discipline carried them through difficult moments. Hungary also progressed through the tournament, defeating Switzerland and then Sweden to reach the final. The Hungarian team played with skill and organization, and they arrived at the final in Paris having shown themselves to be worthy challengers to Italy's crown. The final would be played at the Stade de Colombe in Paris, and it promised to be a compelling contest between two strong European teams. The final, held on June 19th, saw Italy face Hungary in front of a sizable Parisian crowd. The match unfolded as an open, attacking contest with both teams showing ambition and creating opportunities. Goals were exchanged, and the lead changed hands during the course of play. Italy's experience proved valuable as the match progressed, and they demonstrated their championship qualities by responding each time Hungary threatened. When the final whistle sounded, Italy had prevailed by 4-2, becoming the first nation to win consecutive World Cup titles. This achievement established Italy among football's elite nations and brought continued satisfaction to the fascist government back home, which again used the sporting success for propaganda purposes. For the Italian players and coaches, the victory represented the culmination of years of development and the validation of their tactical approaches and training methods. Interestingly, this World Cup was the first where the host country did not automatically play in the opening match, a small but notable departure from previous practice. More significantly, the 1938 tournament would be the last World Cup for 12 years. The outbreak of World War II in 1939 meant that the planned 1942 and 1946 tournaments were cancelled. Football, like so much else, would have to wait for peace to return. As the teams departed France in the summer of 1938, none could have known how long they would wait to compete again on the World Cup stage. The world was about to enter a period of unprecedented conflict and suffering, and the beautiful game would be among the many casualties of the coming war. The joy and excitement of the 1938 World Cup would be followed by years of darkness before the tournament could resume. After a 12-year absence caused by the devastation of World War II, the World Cup returned in 1950. Brazil had been selected to host this resumption of the global football competition, and the tournament took place from June 24th through July 16th. The world that emerged from the war was profoundly changed, and football's return carried a significance beyond sport. It represented a return to normalcy, a reconnection of nations through peaceful competition, and a reminder of the shared humanity that sport could celebrate. The organizing of the tournament proved challenging in various ways. Several nations that had qualified chose to withdraw for different reasons, including financial constraints and the difficulties of international travel in the immediate post-war years. This left Brazil hosting just 13 teams in the final tournament, the same number that had participated in the very first World Cup 20 years earlier. The reduced field did not diminish the significance of the competition's return, but it did reflect the ongoing challenges nations faced in the aftermath of global conflict. Brazil approached hosting duties with ambition and determination. They constructed the Maracanã Stadium in Rio de Janeiro specifically for the tournament, creating what would become one of football's most iconic venues. The stadium was enormous, built to hold crowds that would dwarf those seen at previous World Cups. The construction represented a significant investment and demonstrated Brazil's commitment to making this World Cup a memorable event. The tournament format differed from the knockout structures used in 1934 and 1938. Teams were divided into groups for an initial round-robin stage. However, rather than following the group stage with knockout rounds leading to a single final match, The 1950 format concluded with a final group stage where 4 teams would play each other to determine the champion. This unusual structure meant there would be no traditional final, though circumstances would create what felt very much like a decisive championship match. The group stages produced varied results as teams found their form after the long World Cup absence. Uruguay, winners of the first tournament in 1930, returned to show they remained a force in world football. Brazil, playing before their passionate home crowds, demonstrated attacking football that thrilled spectators and built expectations across the nation. Spain and Sweden also advanced to the final group, setting up a 4-team round-robin to determine the champion. The final group stage saw Brazil emerge as strong favorites. They had scored freely throughout the tournament, playing with creativity and flair that excited their supporters. Their forward Ademir had been particularly prolific, finding the net repeatedly and finishing the tournament with 9 goals to claim the top scorer distinction. As Brazil approached their final match against Uruguay, they needed only a draw to claim the title. Uruguay, by contrast, needed to win. The decisive match took place on July 16th at the Maracanã, and the attendance that day has become part of football legend. Estimates place the crowd at around 200,000 people, making it one of the largest gatherings in football history. The stadium was packed to capacity and beyond, with spectators filling every available space. The atmosphere was extraordinary, with the vast majority of the crowd expecting to witness Brazil's coronation as world champions. The match began with Brazil controlling possession and creating chances against a disciplined Uruguayan defense. The home team took the lead during the second half, and the stadium erupted in celebration. Brazil appeared to be heading toward the victory that would seal the championship. However, Uruguay refused to accept defeat. They equalized against the run of play, stunning the massive crowd into near silence. Then, as the match entered its final stages, Uruguay scored again, taking the lead with just minutes remaining. Brazil pressed desperately for an equalizer, but Uruguay's defense held firm. When the final whistle blew, Uruguay had won by 2-1, claiming their second World Cup title in circumstances that were almost unbelievable. The silence in the Maracanã was profound and eerie. Nearly 200,000 people stood in shock, unable to process what they had witnessed. Brazil's expected triumph had turned into devastating defeat. This match became known as the Maracanazo, and it entered Brazilian sporting history as a trauma that would take decades to heal. The defeat affected the nation deeply, influencing how Brazil approached future tournaments and how they thought about football's place in their culture. For Uruguay, the victory was perhaps their greatest sporting achievement, a triumph against overwhelming odds in the most hostile of environments. The 1950 World Cup had marked football's successful return to the global stage. It had shown that despite the war's disruptions, the appetite for international competition remained strong. The tournament had produced drama and heartbreak, and it had created a moment that would be remembered and discussed for generations. The Maracanã, built to celebrate Brazilian victory, instead became the site of their most painful defeat, a reminder that in football, as in life, the unexpected can always occur. The 1954 World Cup took place in Switzerland from June 16 through July 4, and it would become known as one of the most remarkable tournaments in the competition's history. Switzerland provided the neutral setting for 16 nations to compete across various alpine cities and towns. The tournament employed a group stage followed by knockout rounds, though the group stage used an unusual seeded and unseeded system that created some unexpected dynamics in how the matches unfolded. This World Cup took place during a period of optimism in Europe. The continent was rebuilding after the devastation of war, economies were recovering, and people were ready to embrace joy and celebration. Football provided an outlet for this renewed energy, and the tournament captured the attention of millions across Europe and beyond. The quality of football on display would prove to be exceptional, with teams showing attacking ambition that led to remarkably high-scoring matches. Indeed, the 1954 tournament became famous for its goal scoring. The average number of goals per match exceeded 5, a figure that has never been matched in any World Cup since. This abundance of goals reflected both the attacking philosophies of the teams and perhaps also some defensive vulnerabilities that skillful forwards were able to exploit. Matches swung back and forth, with leads built and surrendered, creating drama and excitement for spectators. Hungary arrived in Switzerland as overwhelming favorites to win the tournament. The Hungarian team, known as the Mighty Magyars, had been unbeaten in 31 consecutive matches. They played a revolutionary style of football, with fluid movement and tactical innovations that confused and overwhelmed opponents. Their forward line, led by Ferenc Puskás and featuring the prolific Sandor Kocsis, was considered the finest in world football. Kocsis would finish the tournament as top scorer with 11 goals, a testament to Hungary's attacking prowess. Hungary's group stage performances reinforced their status as favorites. They defeated South Korea and then demolished West Germany by 8-3 in a match where they rested some key players. The West Germans, by contrast, appeared to be no match for the Hungarians, and few observers gave them any chance of challenging for the title. The group stage also saw Uruguay defending their championship with dignified performances, while Austria, England, and Brazil all showed qualities that suggested they could be competitive. The knockout stages began with the quarterfinals, where Hungary continued their impressive form by defeating Brazil in a match that became notorious for its physicality. The game, played in terrible weather conditions, descended at times into something resembling a battle more than a football match. Hungary prevailed, but several players on both sides were injured, and the match left a bitter taste despite the Hungarians' progression. West Germany, meanwhile, quietly advanced through their quarter-final, then faced Austria in the semi-finals. The match between these two German-speaking nations was anticipated with interest, and West Germany emerged victorious in a high-scoring encounter. In the other semi-final, Hungary faced Uruguay, the defending champions. The match proved to be an extraordinary contest, with Hungary eventually winning by 4-2 in extra time. Both semi-finals had produced attacking football and plenty of goals, continuing the tournament's trend toward offensive play. The final, scheduled for July 4th in Bern, paired Hungary against West Germany in a rematch of their earlier group stage encounter. Few expected anything other than Hungarian victory. The Hungarians had thrashed the Germans weeks earlier. They had been unbeaten for years, and they possessed what was widely considered the best team in the world. The bookmakers, the journalists, and the neutral observers all anticipated Hungary's coronation. The match began in a manner that seemed to confirm these expectations. Hungary scored twice in the opening minutes, and it appeared the final might become a rout. However, West Germany responded with remarkable composure, scoring twice to level the match before the first half ended. The Hungarian lead had evaporated, and suddenly the outcome was uncertain. The second half unfolded as a tense battle between Hungary's technical superiority and West Germany's determination and organization. Hungary created chances and pressed for the goal that would restore their lead. West Germany defended with discipline and looked for opportunities to counterattack. As the minutes passed, the tension grew. Then, with just minutes remaining, West Germany scored again, taking the lead for the first time in the match. Hungary pushed desperately for an equalizer, but the German defense held firm. When the final whistle sounded, West Germany had won by 3-2, completing one of the greatest upsets in sporting history. The result was so unexpected, so contrary to all predictions, that it became known as the Miracle of Bern. For West Germany, still rebuilding their national identity after the war, the victory carried enormous symbolic significance beyond sport. For Hungary, the defeat was crushing. They had been the best team in the world, had played the best football of the tournament, yet had failed to claim the prize they so richly deserved. The loss would mark the beginning of the end for the great Hungarian team, as political events back home would soon scatter the players across Europe. The 1954 World Cup had provided drama, goals, and an unforgettable final. It had shown that in football, favorites can stumble and underdogs can triumph. The tournament had been a celebration of attacking play and sporting excellence, and the miracle of Bern ensured it would never be forgotten. The 1958 World Cup traveled to Sweden, taking place from June 8 through June 29 in the first and so far only time the tournament has been held in that Scandinavian nation. 16 teams gathered across various Swedish cities, and the competition would witness the emergence of talents that would define football for the next decade. The Swedish summer provided generally pleasant conditions for football, and the organization of the tournament reflected Swedish efficiency and attention to detail. This World Cup would be remembered for many reasons, but none more significant than the arrival of a 17-year-old Brazilian forward named Pelé. He was the youngest player in the tournament, yet he would prove to be among the most influential. Brazil arrived in Sweden carrying the psychological scars of the Maracanazo 8 years earlier. They were determined to finally claim the World Cup title that had eluded them so painfully in 1950, and they brought a team that blended experienced players with exciting young talents. The tournament also featured France's Just Fontaine, who would produce one of the most remarkable individual scoring performances in World Cup history. Fontaine would finish the competition with 13 goals, a record for a single tournament that still stands decades later. His ability to find the net with such consistency was extraordinary, and it helped France to a credible tournament performance even though they would not reach the final. Wales made their only World Cup appearance to date at this tournament, and they performed admirably, reaching the quarter-finals before being eliminated. Their presence added to the diversity of the competition and showed that smaller footballing nations could compete on the global stage when they qualified. The tournament's group stage produced the expected progression of strong teams while also offering some surprises and upsets that kept the competition interesting. As the knockout rounds approached, several teams emerged as genuine contenders. Brazil had shown flashes of brilliance. West Germany remained a force after their 1954 triumph, and the host nation Sweden was playing with confidence and organization that suggested they could reach the later stages. France, powered by Fontaine's goals, also looked capable of going deep into the tournament. The quarterfinals saw Brazil face Wales in a match that would prove crucial for both teams. Brazil won narrowly, with Pelé scoring the only goal to send the Welsh home disappointed but proud of their efforts. France defeated Northern Ireland, Sweden overcame the Soviet Union, and West Germany beat Yugoslavia. The semi-finals would bring together these four teams in matches that promised high-quality football. Brazil's semi-final against France became one of the tournament's defining matches. Pelé announced himself on the world stage with a hat trick, 3 goals that demonstrated his remarkable skill, vision, and composure. Brazil won convincingly, with Pelé's performance leaving spectators and opponents alike in awe of his abilities. At just 17, he had produced a display that suggested greatness lay ahead. France, despite Fontaine's continued scoring, could not contain the Brazilian attack. Sweden, playing before their home crowds, faced West Germany in the other semi-final. The Swedes rose to the occasion, defeating the defending champions to reach the final and guarantee themselves at least a silver medal. The Swedish public was delighted to see their team reach the final, and anticipation built across the nation for the championship match against Brazil. The final took place on June 29 in Solna, near Stockholm, before a capacity crowd of Swedish supporters hoping to witness an upset. Brazil wore yellow jerseys, a choice they had made after abandoning the white shirts they wore during the Maracanazo, seeking to break with that painful past. The match began with Sweden taking an early lead, and for a moment it seemed the hosts might achieve the unthinkable. However, Brazil responded with a display of football that silenced the partisan crowd through its sheer quality. They equalized quickly, then took the lead, and as the match progressed they grew more dominant. Pelé scored twice in the final, adding to his semi-final hat-trick and cementing his status as the tournament's breakout star. The teenager's second goal in the final was particularly memorable, a piece of skill and finishing that showcased his extraordinary talent. Brazil won the final by 5-2, a scoreline that reflected their superiority on the day. The victory brought Brazil their first World Cup title, exorcising the ghosts of 1950 and beginning what would become the most successful era in their football history. For the Brazilian players and supporters, the triumph was a moment of pure joy and relief. They had finally achieved what had seemed destined to happen 8 years earlier. For Sweden, the silver medal represented their greatest World Cup achievement. They had hosted a successful tournament and reached the final, and while defeat was disappointing, they could take pride in their performances. The Swedish public had embraced the World Cup, and the tournament had been well organized and warmly received. The 1958 World Cup had introduced Pelé to the world, had seen Fontaine set a scoring record that may never be broken, and had given Brazil their first taste of World Cup glory. The tournament had been played in good spirit and had produced memorable football. As the teams departed Sweden, they left behind a tournament that would be remembered for the emergence of new talents and the beginning of Brazil's golden era. The 1962 World Cup took place in Chile from May 30th through June 17th, and the tournament's occurrence there was itself a remarkable achievement. In May of 1960, Chile had been struck by a devastating earthquake, one of the most powerful ever recorded, which caused enormous destruction and loss of life. Despite this catastrophe and the enormous challenges of rebuilding, Chile remained committed to hosting the World Cup. The tournament became a symbol of Chilean resilience and determination to move forward despite tragedy. 16 nations gathered across Chilean cities to compete for the trophy. Brazil arrived as defending champions, carrying the confidence that came from their Swedish triumph 4 years earlier. However, their campaign would face a significant challenge early in the tournament when Pelé, their young star, suffered an injury in just the second match. The injury was serious enough to end his participation in the competition, leaving Brazil to continue without their most talented player. In Pelé's absence, another Brazilian player emerged to carry the team forward. Garrincha, a winger known for his incredible dribbling ability and his unusual gait caused by childhood illness, became the tournament's standout performer. Garrincha had always been brilliant, but in Chile he reached new heights, terrorizing defenses and creating moments of magic that kept Brazil's campaign alive. He would finish tied as one of the tournament's top scorers with 4 goals, though his contribution went far beyond the goals he scored. The tournament became infamous for the physical nature of many matches. The most notorious example was the match between Chile and Italy, which became known as the Battle of Santiago. The game descended into violence almost from the start, with tackles flying in and tempers flaring. The Italian team seemed targeted by rough Chilean challenges, and the Italians responded in kind. The referee struggled to maintain control, and the match became more memorable for its brutality than for any football quality. Chile won the match, but the real losers were those who believed in football as a beautiful game. This physical edge characterized several matches throughout the tournament. Teams seemed willing to cross the line from robust competition into dangerous play. The hard tackles and confrontational atmosphere meant that skill sometimes took second place to physicality, and several talented players found themselves targeted by opponents determined to stop them by any means necessary. Despite these concerning aspects, the tournament also produced excellent football when teams focused on playing rather than fighting. The group stages saw the expected progression of strong teams, though there were surprises and close matches that kept the competition engaging. Brazil navigated through their group despite Pelé's absence. Czechoslovakia showed themselves to be organized and effective, and Chile delighted their home supporters by advancing through the early rounds. The knockout stages brought increased tension as teams moved closer to the ultimate prize. Brazil faced England in the quarter-finals and won through Garrincha's brilliance. Chile continued their impressive home tournament by defeating the Soviet Union. Czechoslovakia overcame Hungary, and Yugoslavia beat West Germany. The semi-finals would test Brazil's ability to win without Pelé and give Chile a chance to reach the final on home soil. Brazil's semi-final against Chile was played in an atmosphere of intense passion. The Chilean crowd roared their support for the home team, desperate to see them reach the final. However, Brazil's quality and experience proved decisive. Garrincha scored twice, and Brazil won by 4-2, ending Chilean hopes but demonstrating their own championship credentials. The other semi-final saw Czechoslovakia defeat Yugoslavia, setting up a final that would pit defending champions Brazil against a disciplined Czech side. The final took place on June 17 in Santiago before a crowd hoping to witness an upset. Czechoslovakia took an early lead, briefly threatening to deny Brazil the chance to defend their title successfully. However, Brazil responded with the resilience of champions. They equalized before halftime, then took control in the second half. The final score saw Brazil win by 3-1, becoming only the second team after Italy to win consecutive World Cups. The victory confirmed Brazil's status as the dominant force in world football. They had won despite losing Pelé early in the tournament, demonstrating their depth of talent and their tactical sophistication. Garrincha had proven himself to be a player capable of carrying a team to glory, while other Brazilian players had stepped up to fill the void left by Pelé's injury. The tournament's top scorers included 6 players tied on 4 goals each, with Garrincha and his teammate Vava among them. This sharing of the scoring honors reflected how several teams had spread their goals across multiple players rather than relying on a single dominant scorer. Chile 1962 would be remembered for Brazil's successful title defense, for Garrincha's brilliant performances, and unfortunately also for the violent matches that marred parts of the competition. The tournament had shown that Chile could host a World Cup despite recent tragedy, and it had confirmed Brazil's place at the summit of international football. As the teams departed Chile, Brazil stood alone as the team that had managed to retain the World Cup, a feat that demonstrated their exceptional quality and consistency. The World Cup returned to England in the summer of 1966, taking place from July 11th through July 30th. England, the nation that had given football to the world, had never won the World Cup despite their historical connection to the game's development. The tournament would give them the opportunity to claim the trophy on home soil, before their own passionate supporters. This World Cup also marked several firsts, including the introduction of the competition's first official mascot, a lion named World Cup Willie. 16 teams gathered across English cities and towns, and the tournament unfolded during what would become a memorable English summer. The group stages proceeded with a mix of expected results and surprising performances. Brazil, seeking to win their 3rd consecutive title, arrived with Pelé ready to lead their campaign. However, their tournament would end in disappointment. Pelé was subjected to rough treatment from opponents determined to stop him by any means, and Brazil were eliminated in the group stage, a shocking early exit for the defending champions. One of the tournament's most remarkable stories came from North Korea, who became the first Asian team to reach the quarter-finals of a World Cup. Their journey captured imaginations around the world. In the group stage, they famously defeated Italy by 1-0, a result that stunned the football world and sent the Italians home in disgrace. The North Koreans' discipline, fitness, and tactical organization had overcome a team with far greater resources and reputation. Portugal emerged as one of the tournament's most exciting teams, playing attacking football led by their magnificent striker Eusebio. The Portuguese forward would finish as the tournament's top scorer with 9 goals, demonstrating both his individual brilliance and his ability to perform on the biggest stage. Portugal's quarter-final against North Korea produced one of the tournament's most dramatic matches, with North Korea leading by 3-0 before Portugal mounted an incredible comeback to win by 5-3, with Eusebio scoring 4 times. England progressed through the tournament with growing confidence. They had a strong defensive foundation and players capable of creating and scoring goals. Their quarter-final against Argentina was marred by controversy and bad feeling, with Argentina's captain being sent off and the match becoming tense and occasionally ugly. England won and advanced to the semi-finals, where they would face Portugal in a match that promised to be more open and attacking. The semi-final between England and Portugal lived up to expectations as a contest between two teams willing to attack. England prevailed by 2-1, with Bobby Charlton scoring both English goals. Eusebio scored from the penalty spot for Portugal, but it was not enough to prevent England from reaching the final. The other semi-final saw West Germany defeat the Soviet Union, setting up a final that would bring together two European powers with a complex historical relationship. The final took place on July 30th at Wembley Stadium in London before a capacity crowd of passionate English supporters. The atmosphere was electric with anticipation and nervous energy. West Germany and England both understood the significance of the match, not just as a sporting contest but as a meeting of nations with a shared and difficult history. The match itself became one of the most famous in football history. England took the lead, then West Germany equalized. England scored again, building a lead that looked secure as the match entered its final minutes. However, West Germany equalized in the dying moments of regular time, forcing the match into extra time and denying England what had seemed like certain victory. Extra time brought the match's most controversial moment. England's Geoff Hurst struck a shot that hit the crossbar and bounced down near the goal line. The referee consulted with his linesman, and after a brief discussion, the goal was awarded. Replays and analysis have debated for decades whether the ball fully crossed the line, and the incident became known as the Wembley goal. The controversy did not stop play, and the match continued. As extra time wound down, England broke forward one final time. Hurst received the ball and drove toward the German goal. With spectators already celebrating on the pitch and the match clearly ending, Hurst struck the ball powerfully into the net, completing his hat trick. He became the first and still only player to score 3 goals in a World Cup final. The final whistle confirmed England's victory by 4-2. The celebrations were immense, with Wembley erupting in joy. England's captain Bobby Moore lifted the trophy, and the nation celebrated their first and so far only World Cup triumph. For English football, it was a moment of vindication and pride. The nation that invented the game had finally won its greatest prize. The tournament had been well organized and had produced memorable football despite some physical matches. Eusebio's 9 goals had entertained throughout. North Korea had provided one of sport's great underdog stories, and England had their moment of glory. The 1966 World Cup entered English sporting legend, a golden summer that would be remembered and celebrated for generations to come. The 1970 World Cup traveled to Mexico, marking the first time the tournament had been held in North America. The competition took place from May 31st through June 21st, unfolding across various Mexican cities during late spring and early summer. This World Cup carried special significance as it would be the first broadcast in color television worldwide, bringing the vibrant spectacle of the tournament to viewers across the globe in a new and vivid way. The tournament also introduced several innovations that would become standard in world football. Substitutions were now permitted, allowing teams to replace injured or tired players during matches. Yellow and red cards were used for the first time at a World Cup, providing referees with a clear visual method to communicate cautions and dismissals. These cards helped create consistency in how discipline was administered and understood by players, officials, and spectators alike. Mexico's altitude presented unique challenges for the teams. Several matches took place at significant elevation, particularly at the Estadio Azteca in Mexico City, which sits over 2,000 meters above sea level. The thinner air affected how players' bodies responded to exertion, making stamina and fitness crucial factors. Teams had to adjust their preparation and sometimes their tactics to account for these demanding conditions. Brazil arrived in Mexico with a team that would come to be regarded as perhaps the greatest national side in football history. They brought together a collection of talents that included Pelé, now fully mature and at the peak of his powers, along with brilliant players like Jairzinho, Tostao, Gerson, and Rivellino. The Brazilian team played with a freedom and creativity that expressed the joy of the game, and their yellow shirts became synonymous with beautiful football. The group stages saw Brazil progress with convincing performances that announced their intention to reclaim the trophy they had last won in 1962. England, the defending champions, also advanced through their group, as did Italy, Uruguay, and West Germany. The tournament had drawn 16 teams, and the quality of football was generally high, with several matches producing memorable moments and outstanding goals. The quarterfinals brought together the tournament's strongest teams. Brazil faced Peru and won comfortably, with their attacking players creating chances seemingly at will. Italy defeated Mexico, ending the hosts' challenge but doing so in a match that required extra time to resolve. Uruguay beat the Soviet Union, and West Germany overcame England in a match that reversed the result of the 1966 final. The German victory over England was particularly satisfying for them, coming after their defeat at Wembley 4 years earlier. The semi-finals produced two matches that showcased different styles of football. Italy faced West Germany in a contest that became known as the Game of the Century. The match was scoreless after 90 minutes and moved into extra time. What followed was an extraordinary period of attacking football, with goals traded back and forth in a manner rarely seen at such a high level. Italy eventually won by 5-4, but the match had been so dramatic and so packed with incident that both teams could feel they had contributed to something special. Brazil's semi-final against Uruguay was less dramatic but equally significant. The Brazilians won by 3-1, with their superiority clear throughout. They had now reached the final and stood just one victory away from winning the World Cup for a third time. Under the rules of that era, winning the tournament 3 times would give them permanent possession of the Jules Rimet Trophy, adding extra incentive to their already strong desire for victory. The final, played on June 21st at the Estadio Azteca, brought together Brazil and Italy. The Italians had earned their place through determination and tactical discipline, while Brazil had dazzled with attacking football that seemed to transcend normal tactical constraints. The match was watched by enormous television audiences around the world, all watching in color for the first time. Brazil dominated the final from the opening whistle. They scored first, then Italy equalized briefly, but Brazil responded by scoring 3 more goals to win by 4-1. The victory was comprehensive and emphatic. Pelé scored the opening goal with a header, then set up the fourth goal with a perfect pass. Jairzinho scored, becoming the only player to score in every match of a World Cup tournament. The Brazilian performance was a masterclass in attacking football. The victory gave Brazil their third World Cup title and permanent possession of the Jules Rimet Trophy. Pelé won his third World Cup, a unique achievement that no other player has matched. The Brazil team of 1970 entered football immortality, their yellow shirts and attacking play becoming the standard by which great teams would be measured. The tournament's top scorer was West Germany's Gerd Müller with 10 goals, but the tournament belonged to Brazil. The 1970 World Cup had been a celebration of football at its finest. The color broadcasts had brought the game's beauty to new audiences, and Brazil had provided a team worthy of that showcase. As the tournament ended and Brazil celebrated in Mexico City, football fans around the world had witnessed something special. A team playing the game as it was meant to be played, with skill, imagination, and joy. The 1974 World Cup took place in West Germany from June 13th through July 7th, and it marked the beginning of a new era for the tournament in several ways. Most significantly, a new trophy was introduced. Brazil's third victory in 1970 had given them permanent possession of the original Jules Rimet Trophy, so FIFA commissioned a new prize. The current FIFA World Cup trophy, designed by Italian sculptor Silvio Gazzaniga, was unveiled for this tournament and would be awarded to champions going forward, though unlike its predecessor, it would remain FIFA property regardless of how many times any nation won it. The tournament format also evolved for 1974. 16 teams participated, but rather than moving from group stages directly to knockout rounds, this World Cup employed a second group stage before the final. Teams would compete in initial groups, then the qualifiers would enter a second round of group matches, with the winners of these final groups meeting in the championship match. This format created more matches but also meant teams could be eliminated without losing a knockout tie. The Netherlands arrived in West Germany with a team that would revolutionize football tactics. They played a style that became known as total football, where players fluidly interchanged positions and the distinction between defenders and attackers became blurred. Johan Cruyff led this Dutch side, and his vision, technical skill, and tactical intelligence made him the tournament's most mesmerizing player. The Netherlands approached matches with a confidence and sophistication that left opponents confused and spectators enthralled. West Germany, playing as hosts, had their own strengths. They combined German organizational discipline with creative players capable of moments of brilliance. The team included Franz Beckenbauer, who had redefined the role of defender by playing as a libero, sweeping behind the defense but also initiating attacks with his passing and movement. West Germany entered the tournament knowing they would face enormous pressure from their home crowd to succeed. The tournament included a politically charged moment when East Germany and West Germany met in the group stage. The two German nations, divided by ideology and the Cold War, faced each other in Hamburg. East Germany won by 1-0, a result that caused satisfaction in the East and disappointment in the West, though both teams advanced from the group. The match symbolized the broader tensions of the era, with sport providing a proxy battlefield for political systems. The second group stage saw the Netherlands emerge as the tournament's most impressive team. They defeated Argentina and East Germany, then faced Brazil in a match that would determine who reached the final. The Netherlands won convincingly, with their total football proving too sophisticated for the Brazilians to handle. The Dutch had announced themselves as genuine contenders and favorites for the final. West Germany navigated their second round group with more difficulty. They defeated Yugoslavia and Sweden, then faced Poland in a match played on a waterlogged pitch in Frankfurt. Heavy rain had fallen before and during the match, creating difficult conditions where ball control became challenging. West Germany won by 1-0, with goalkeeper Sepp Maier making crucial saves to preserve the lead. Poland would finish third in the tournament, their best World Cup performance, with striker Grzegorz Lato finishing as top scorer with 7 goals. The final, scheduled for July 7th in Munich, brought together West Germany and the Netherlands in a match that promised tactical fascination. The Dutch were favorites, their total football having impressed throughout the tournament. West Germany carried the weight of home expectations and the determination to win in front of their own supporters. The match began in extraordinary fashion. From the kickoff, the Netherlands launched an attack that saw them awarded a penalty before any West German player had touched the ball. Johan Cruyff converted the penalty, and the Netherlands led within 2 minutes. The Munich crowd fell silent, fearing their team would be overwhelmed. However, West Germany responded with resilience. They earned a penalty of their own and equalized. Then, before halftime, they took the lead through Gerd Müller, who scored what would prove to be the winning goal. The Dutch, despite their superiority in style and possession, could not find an equalizer in the second half. West Germany defended with organization and determination, and when the final whistle sounded, they had won by 2-1. The victory gave West Germany their second World Cup title, counting their 1954 triumph. For the Netherlands and Johan Cruyff, it was a bitter disappointment. They had played the most attractive football of the tournament, had revolutionized tactical thinking, yet had fallen short in the final. Cruyff would never win a World Cup, a reminder that individual brilliance and team sophistication do not always translate to tournament success. The 1974 World Cup had introduced a new trophy, showcased revolutionary tactics, and produced a final that defied expectations. The Netherlands had changed how people thought about football, while West Germany had shown that determination and tactical discipline could overcome even the most sophisticated opponents. Australia had made its World Cup debut at this tournament, adding to the growing global reach of the competition. As teams departed Germany, the sport had been enriched by new ideas and memorable performances, even if the final result had disappointed those who appreciated the Dutch Revolution. The 1978 World Cup took place in Argentina from June 1st through June 25th, and it unfolded against a deeply troubling political backdrop. Argentina was under military dictatorship, and the ruling junta viewed the tournament as an opportunity to project a positive image of the country to the world, despite the regime's brutal human rights abuses. The tournament's organization and Argentina's path to victory would be shadowed by allegations of political interference and manipulation. 16 teams participated in the tournament, which continued to use the format of initial group stages followed by a second round of groups before the final. The competition introduced innovations including a new match ball design, the colorful tango ball produced by Adidas, which would become iconic in its own right. The tournament took place during Argentina's winter, and while temperatures were generally mild, some matches were played in rainy conditions that affected play. The group stages proceeded with a mix of strong performances and surprising results. The Netherlands, runners-up 4 years earlier, again showed quality and advanced to the second round. Italy, Brazil, and West Germany, the defending champions, also progressed. Peru emerged from their group with impressive performances, while Austria and Poland also qualified for the second group phase. Argentina, playing before fervent home crowds, advanced with solid if not spectacular football. The second group stage created the tournament's defining controversies. Argentina and Brazil both competed in their respective groups with the knowledge that goal difference might determine who reached the final. Brazil finished their matches first, defeating Poland to set a target that Argentina would need to surpass. Argentina then faced Peru in their final group match, needing to win by at least 4 goals to advance to the final on goal difference. What followed remains one of the most controversial matches in World Cup history. Argentina defeated Peru by 6-0, a result that seemed improbable given Peru's previous performances in the tournament. Allegations immediately arose that the match had been fixed, with suggestions that Argentina's military government had pressured or bribed Peruvian officials and players. These allegations have never been definitively proven, but they have also never been satisfactorily dismissed, and they cast a shadow over Argentina's tournament victory. The final brought together Argentina and the Netherlands, a rematch of sorts given the Dutch presence in the previous final. The match took place in Buenos Aires at the Estadio Monumental, with the stadium packed with Argentine supporters creating a deafening atmosphere of blue and white. The Netherlands arrived at the final without Johan Cruyff, who had refused to participate in the tournament, reportedly due to concerns about Argentina's political situation and security. The match itself was tense and hard-fought. The Netherlands, despite missing Cruyff, remained a strong team with quality players capable of challenging Argentina. The match was goalless after 90 minutes, taking it into extra time. The atmosphere grew even more intense as both teams sought the goal that would bring victory. In extra time, Argentina finally broke through. Mario Kempes, who had been their leading scorer throughout the tournament, scored to give Argentina the lead. The Netherlands pressed desperately for an equalizer and succeeded, forcing the tension even higher. However, Kempes scored again, and Argentina added a third goal to win by 3-1. Kempes finished the tournament with 6 goals, claiming the top scorer honor while also delivering the goals that brought Argentina their first World Cup title. The scenes of celebration in Buenos Aires were extraordinary. For Argentine supporters, the victory represented a moment of pure sporting joy and national pride. The military government used the triumph for propaganda purposes, seeking to bolster their legitimacy through the team's success. The relationship between the beautiful game and ugly politics created a complex legacy for this tournament. The Netherlands' defeat in their second consecutive final was particularly painful. They had now lost 2 World Cup finals, and the generation of players that had revolutionized football tactics had failed to claim the sport's ultimate prize. Their contributions to football's evolution were undeniable, but the trophy had eluded them once again. Defending champions West Germany had been eliminated in the second group stage, failing to defend their title successfully. Their elimination showed the difficulty of maintaining championship form across multiple tournaments and the intense competition that existed at the highest level of international football. The 1978 World Cup had given Argentina their first title and created moments of celebration for millions of supporters. However, the tournament's legacy remains complicated by the political context in which it occurred and the persistent questions about the legitimacy of some results. The victory brought joy to many Argentines, but it also served a military dictatorship seeking to use sport for propaganda purposes. This complex mixture of triumph and troubling circumstances ensured that Argentina 1978 would be remembered as one of the World Cup's most controversial editions. The 1982 World Cup took place in Spain from June 13th through July 11th, and it marked a significant expansion of the tournament. For the first time, 24 teams participated in the finals, up from 16 in previous editions. This expansion reflected football's growing global reach and FIFA's desire to include more nations in the sport's premier competition. The larger field meant more matches and a modified format to accommodate the additional teams. The tournament structure began with a first-round group stage involving 6 groups of 4 teams each. The top 2 teams from each group, along with the 4 best third-place teams, would advance to a second group stage. This second round consisted of 4 groups of 3 teams, with the winners of each group advancing to semifinals. The format created many matches and gave teams multiple opportunities to prove themselves, though it also meant the tournament lasted longer and required careful scheduling. Spain in 1982 was emerging from its transition to democracy following the end of Francisco Franco's dictatorship. The country was modernizing and opening up to Europe and the world, and hosting the World Cup represented an opportunity to showcase this new Spain. The tournament took place across various Spanish cities, from Barcelona in the northeast to Seville in the south, allowing different regions to participate in hosting duties. The expanded field brought together traditional powers and nations making their first World Cup appearances or returning after long absences. The first round produced a mixture of expected results and surprising outcomes. Northern Ireland qualified from their group, Kuwait made their World Cup debut, and Algeria shocked West Germany with a victory, though both West Germany and Austria would advance in controversial circumstances. The controversy involving West Germany and Austria became known as the disgrace of Gijón. The two teams met in their final group match, both knowing that a West German victory by 1 or 2 goals would send both teams through while eliminating Algeria. West Germany scored early, and the match then proceeded with both teams seemingly content to play out time without serious attacking intent. The lack of genuine competition was obvious and sparked outrage. Algeria, who had finished their matches earlier and could only watch helplessly, were eliminated despite having the same number of points as the advancing teams. The incident led to FIFA changing tournament rules so that final group matches would be played simultaneously to prevent such collusion. The second group stage brought together the tournament's strongest teams in groups of 3. One group included Brazil, Argentina, and Italy, a concentration of talent that guaranteed compelling matches. Brazil and Italy met in a match that would become legendary. Brazil played with their traditional flair and creativity, taking the lead multiple times. However, Italy's striker Paolo Rossi, who had been quiet in earlier matches, suddenly found his form. He scored 3 goals, leading Italy to a victory by 3-2 in one of the finest World Cup matches ever played. Rossi's resurgence transformed Italy's tournament. Having struggled in earlier rounds, they now looked formidable with their striker scoring freely. Rossi would finish the competition with 6 goals and the Golden Boot as top scorer. His goals against Brazil announced Italy as serious title contenders, and they carried that momentum forward. The semi-finals brought together Italy and Poland in one match, and West Germany and France in the other. Italy defeated Poland comfortably, with Rossi scoring twice more to continue his remarkable run of form. The match between West Germany and France became an epic encounter that went to extra time and eventually penalties. France had led and seemed likely to win, but West Germany equalized and the match went to a penalty shootout. West Germany prevailed in the shootout, reaching the final but leaving France heartbroken after they had come so close to victory. The final, played on July 11th in Madrid at the Santiago Bernabéu Stadium, brought together Italy and West Germany. The Germans were appearing in their 3rd consecutive World Cup final, an achievement that demonstrated their consistency and strength as a footballing nation. Italy sought their 3rd World Cup title, which would equal Brazil's record at that time. The match unfolded as a showcase for Italian football at its best. They controlled the tempo, defended with organization, and attacked with purpose when opportunities arose. Paolo Rossi scored the opening goal, continuing his golden touch in front of goal. Italy added 2 more goals in the second half, winning by 3-1. The victory gave Italy their 3rd World Cup title and confirmed their place among football's elite nations. The triumph was particularly satisfying for Italy given the quality of teams they had defeated on their path to the title. They had eliminated the defending champions Argentina in the second group stage, then defeated Brazil in that memorable match, before overcoming Poland and West Germany. Their defensive solidity, combined with Rossi's scoring prowess, had proven to be a winning combination. The 1982 World Cup had successfully accommodated 24 teams and had produced memorable football despite some controversial moments. The tournament had shown that expanding the field could work logistically while also raising questions about format and fair play. Italy's victory, built on Rossi's goals and their traditional defensive strength, provided a worthy conclusion to a tournament that had offered drama, controversy, and exceptional football across its month-long duration. The 1986 World Cup took place in Mexico, though Mexico had not been the original choice to host. Colombia had initially been awarded the tournament but withdrew due to economic difficulties and concerns about their ability to meet the infrastructure requirements. Mexico stepped in to host for the second time, having previously held the tournament in 1970. The competition ran from May 31st through June 29th, once again presenting teams with the challenges of altitude and heat that characterized Mexican venues. 24 teams participated, continuing the expanded format introduced in Spain 4 years earlier. The structure involved initial group stages followed by a knockout phase. Importantly, the format now included a round of 16, as the best third-place teams from the groups would advance alongside the top 2 from each group. This created a more straightforward path from groups to semifinals compared to the complex second group stage used previously. The tournament would be dominated by one player more than any World Cup since Pelé in 1970. Diego Maradona arrived in Mexico as Argentina's captain and their most talented player. At 25 years old, Maradona was at the peak of his powers, combining exceptional technical skill with fierce determination and tactical intelligence. He would produce performances that ranged from controversial to sublime, cementing his place among football's all-time greats. The group stages unfolded across Mexican venues, with matches played in intense heat and at varying altitudes. The conditions influenced how teams approached their games, with stamina and fitness proving crucial. Morocco became the first African nation to win a World Cup group, a milestone achievement that signaled the growing strength of African football. Denmark also impressed with attacking play, while traditional powers like Brazil, Argentina, and West Germany advanced as expected. The knockout rounds began with a round of 16, and it was here that Maradona began to take center stage. Argentina faced England in a quarter-final that would produce 2 of the most famous goals in World Cup history. The match carried extra tension due to the recent Falklands War between the two nations, adding political undertones to the sporting contest. In the second half, with the score still level, came the match's defining moments. Maradona jumped for a high ball in the England penalty area, and the ball ended up in the net. Television replays showed clearly that Maradona had punched the ball with his hand, but the referee, unsighted, allowed the goal to stand. Maradona later described it as the hand of God, claiming divine intervention rather than his own fist had scored the goal. The English players protested vehemently, but the goal stood. Minutes later, Maradona scored again, but this goal was pure magic. He received the ball in his own half, then dribbled through the entire English team, beating 5 players before rounding the goalkeeper and scoring. The goal was immediately recognized as one of the greatest ever scored, a moment of individual brilliance that showcased Maradona's extraordinary talent. It became known as the goal of the century. Argentina won by 2-1, with both goals coming from Maradona in vastly different circumstances. Argentina continued their march through the tournament, with Maradona orchestrating their play and creating opportunities for teammates. They defeated Belgium in the semi-finals, with Maradona scoring twice more. The other semi-final saw West Germany overcome France, setting up a final that would pit Maradona's Argentina against the organized Germans. The final took place on June 29 at the Estadio Azteca in Mexico City, the same venue that had hosted the 1970 final. The attendance was enormous, with over 100,000 spectators filling the stadium. Argentina took the lead through goals from players whom Maradona had set up with his creative passing and movement. West Germany fought back to equalize at 2 goals each, threatening to force extra time. However, in the closing stages, Argentina scored again. The winning goal came from a perfectly timed through ball from Maradona that allowed a teammate to score. Argentina won by 3-2, claiming their second World Cup title and first since 1978. For Maradona, the triumph confirmed his status as the tournament's dominant player and one of football's immortals. The tournament's top scorer was England's Gary Lineker with 6 goals, but the competition belonged to Maradona despite his 5 goals being fewer. His influence went beyond statistics, as he had carried Argentina through matches with his vision, skill, and force of personality. The hand of God remained controversial, but the goal of the century was universally celebrated as an example of what made football beautiful. Mexico 1986 had been played at altitude and in heat, testing players' endurance and skill. The tournament had produced memorable moments and exceptional individual performances. Maradona's dominance, both controversial and brilliant, ensured the World Cup would be remembered as much for one man's genius as for Argentina's team victory. As teams departed Mexico, football fans had witnessed a tournament defined by individual brilliance, a reminder that sometimes one player's talent could elevate an entire competition. The 1990 World Cup returned to Italy, taking place from June 8 through July 8 across various Italian cities. Italy had previously hosted in 1934 and now welcomed the tournament back more than 50 years later. The 24-team format continued, with nations from around the world gathering to compete for the sport's ultimate prize. This tournament would become memorable for reasons both positive and negative, as it showcased moments of brilliance while also highlighting the tactical caution that could make matches tense and low-scoring. The tournament marked the first time the World Cup final would feature a rematch from the previous edition. Argentina, the defending champions, returned hoping to retain their title, while West Germany sought redemption for their 1986 final defeat. The path both teams would take to reach the final again would test their resilience and tactical discipline across multiple challenging matches. Italy had invested heavily in stadiums and infrastructure for the tournament, renovating venues and improving facilities. The country was ready to showcase itself to the world, and the organization reflected Italian attention to detail and passion for football. However, the tournament would unfold in ways that sometimes frustrated those hoping for free-flowing, attacking football. The competition became known for its defensive tactics and low-scoring matches. Teams approached games with caution, fearful of making mistakes that could lead to elimination. The average number of goals per match reached the lowest level in World Cup history up to that point. While tactical discipline and defensive organization have their place in football, the prevalence of negative tactics meant that some matches lacked the excitement and creativity that make the sport compelling. One bright spot for the host nation came from Salvatore Schillaci, an Italian striker who emerged as the tournament's top scorer with 6 goals. Schillaci had not been a certain starter before the tournament began, but his performances captured Italian hearts and made him a national hero. His goals helped Italy reach the semifinals, where they would face Argentina in a match that would break Italian hearts. England also provided moments of genuine excitement during the tournament. They reached the semifinals, their best World Cup performance since winning in 1966. Their journey included dramatic matches and strong team performances. In the semi-final, they faced West Germany in Turin in a match that would become one of the tournament's most memorable encounters. The England versus West Germany semi-final went to extra time, and then to a penalty shootout when neither team could score the decisive goal in open play. The shootout was tense and dramatic, with both teams successfully converting penalties until England's Stuart Pearce and Chris Waddle both missed. West Germany won the shootout and advanced to the final, while England went home devastated. The match had been engaging and competitive, a reminder of what the tournament could produce when teams balanced caution with ambition. The other semi-final saw Argentina face Italy in Naples, where Maradona had played his club football for years. The match went to penalties after a draw in regular and extra time. Argentina won the shootout, eliminating the hosts and advancing to defend their title. The Italian disappointment was profound, particularly after Shalassi's goals had built hopes of a potential triumph. The final, played on July 8 in Rome, brought together Argentina and West Germany in a rematch of the 1986 final. The occasion should have produced a classic encounter, but instead it became remembered as one of the poorest World Cup finals. Both teams played cautiously, and the match was marred by fouls and stoppages. Argentina had 2 players sent off during the match, the first time any team had suffered multiple dismissals in a World Cup final. The only goal came from a penalty converted by West Germany's Andreas Brehme. The final score of 1-0 gave West Germany their 3rd World Cup title. The victory brought satisfaction to the Germans and disappointment to Argentina, but the quality of the match left many spectators unsatisfied. It had been a final that reflected the tournament's broader tendency toward defensive football and tactical caution. The 1990 World Cup's defensive nature led to discussions about how to encourage more attacking play. In subsequent years, FIFA would introduce rule changes, including modifications to the back pass rule, partly in response to the negative tactics displayed at Italia 90. The tournament had shown that while defensive organization had its place, football needed a balance between defense and attack to maintain its appeal. Despite its limitations, Italia 90 had produced some memorable moments. Shalassi's goals, England's run to the semi-finals, and some individual performances had provided highlights. West Germany had claimed the title, Argentina had reached another final despite playing below their best, and the tournament had been well organized even if the football had sometimes disappointed. As teams departed Italy, the prevailing feeling was that the tournament had been solid but not spectacular. The caution displayed by many teams had limited the excitement, and the final had been particularly disappointing. However, the World Cup's ability to create drama and meaning remained intact, and lessons learned from Italia 90 would influence how the tournament would evolve in future editions. The 1994 World Cup traveled to the United States from June 17 through July 17, marking the first time the tournament had been held in that nation. The decision to award the World Cup to the United States had been controversial, as football was not among the country's most popular sports. However, FIFA saw an opportunity to grow the game's presence in a large and wealthy market, and the United States committed to hosting a successful tournament despite the sport's relatively modest domestic following. The gamble proved successful in terms of attendance and organization. The tournament set records for average attendance, with over 3.5 million total spectators across all matches. Americans embraced the World Cup even if they were still learning to fully appreciate football's nuances. The venues, mostly large American football stadiums, provided enormous capacity, and the American talent for organizing major sporting events ensured smooth logistics and operations. 24 teams participated, continuing the format established in previous tournaments. The matches took place across the United States, from California to Massachusetts, showcasing the country's geographic diversity. The summer heat in some venues presented challenges for players, particularly in matches played during afternoon hours. Teams had to manage their energy and hydration carefully, especially in the hotter southern and western venues. The tournament was shadowed by tragedy before it even began. Diego Maradona, playing for Argentina and seeking to add to his legacy, failed a doping test early in the competition. He was sent home in disgrace, his tournament over and his reputation damaged. The incident shocked the football world and raised questions about drug use in the sport. For Argentina, losing their talismanic player was a devastating blow to their championship hopes. Another tragedy would unfold after the tournament when Colombia's Andrés Escobar was murdered shortly after returning home. Escobar had scored an own goal in Colombia's match against the United States, and the team's early elimination disappointed a nation that had entered the tournament with high expectations. The murder, linked in part to that own goal and potentially to gambling losses, shocked the football world and highlighted the dangerous intensity of passion that could sometimes surround the sport. The tournament produced varied football, with some teams playing cautiously while others attacked with ambition. Romania impressed with creative play, and their striker Gheorghe Hagi demonstrated exceptional skill. Bulgaria, led by Hristo Stoichkov, reached the semi-finals in their best-ever World Cup performance. Stoichkov would share the top scorer honor with Russia's Oleg Salenko, both men finishing with 6 goals. Salenko's achievement was particularly notable as he scored 5 goals in a single match against Cameroon, a World Cup record for an individual game. Brazil arrived at the tournament seeking to win the World Cup for the first time since 1970. They had endured a long drought by their standards, and their football had evolved to become more pragmatic and less purely artistic than in previous eras. However, they still possessed talented players and tactical organization, making them genuine contenders for the title. The knockout round saw Brazil progress steadily, defeating the United States, then the Netherlands, before overcoming Sweden in the semi-finals. Italy also navigated through the knockout stages, setting up a final between two nations with rich football histories. Italy had won the World Cup 3 times, Brazil had won 3 times, and this final would determine which nation reached 4 titles first. The final took place on July 17th at the Rose Bowl in Pasadena, California, before a crowd of over 94,000 spectators. The match unfolded as a tense, tactical battle with both teams defending carefully and creating few clear chances. Regular time ended goalless, and extra time also failed to produce a goal. For the first time in World Cup history, the final would be decided by a penalty shootout. Penalty shootouts are cruel determiners of champions, as they reduce the beautiful game to a test of nerve from 12 yards. Both teams knew the weight of the moment as they prepared for the shootout. Brazil converted their first 2 penalties, but Italy's Daniele Massaro and the legendary Roberto Baggio both missed, shooting over the crossbar. Brazil won the shootout by 3-2, claiming their 4th World Cup title. The victory ended Brazil's 24-year wait for World Cup glory. They had won despite playing football that lacked the pure artistry of their 1970 team, showing pragmatism and tactical discipline rather than samba flair. For Italy, the defeat was particularly painful. Baggio, who had been their best player throughout the tournament and had carried them to the final with crucial goals, would be forever associated with his missed penalty despite his heroic performances in earlier rounds. The first World Cup final decided by penalties left many feeling unsatisfied, as it seemed an inadequate way to crown a champion. However, FIFA maintained the shootout format, arguing that matches could not continue indefinitely and that some method of determining a winner was necessary. The 1994 World Cup had been a commercial and organizational success, proving that the United States could host major football events despite the sport's secondary status in American culture. The record attendances demonstrated that Americans would support the World Cup even if domestic league football struggled for attention. Brazil had won their 4th title, extending their record as the most successful World Cup nation. As teams departed the United States, The tournament had shown both the sport's global appeal and the sometimes cruel nature of how champions are determined. The 1998 World Cup took place in France from June 10th through July 12th, and it marked a significant expansion in the tournament size. For the first time, 32 teams participated in the finals, up from 24 in previous editions. This expansion reflected football's continued global growth and FIFA's desire to include more nations from Africa, Asia, and other regions that had historically been underrepresented. The larger field meant a new tournament structure with 8 groups of 4 teams each, followed by a straight knockout phase from the round of 16 onward. France had not won a World Cup despite producing talented players throughout football history. As hosts, they carried enormous pressure and expectation from their passionate supporters. The French team was built around exceptional talents including Zinedine Zidane, a midfielder of extraordinary vision and technical ability, and they played with a style that combined defensive solidity with attacking creativity. The tournament introduced the golden goal rule in extra time. If a match remained tied after 90 minutes and went to extra time, the first team to score would win immediately rather than playing the full 30 minutes of extra time. This rule aimed to encourage attacking play in extra time, though it also created situations where teams became cautious, fearful that a single mistake could end their tournament in an instant. France benefited from the golden goal rule when Laurent Blanc scored against Paraguay in the round of 16, becoming the first player to score a golden goal in World Cup history. The goal sent France through and Paraguay home, decided in a moment rather than through the full extra time period. The golden goal rule would prove controversial and would eventually be abandoned, but at France 1998 it was part of the tournament's dramatic moments. Croatia participated in the World Cup for the first time as an independent nation, having emerged from the breakup of Yugoslavia. They would provide one of the tournament's great stories, reaching the semifinals and eventually finishing third. Croatia's success demonstrated that new nations could quickly establish themselves in international football when they possessed talented players and strong organization. Their striker Davor Šuker finished as top scorer with 6 goals, leading Croatia's impressive campaign. The tournament's group stages produced varied results, with established powers generally advancing but also some surprises. Nigeria impressed with athletic, attacking football. Denmark also showed quality, while traditional powers like Brazil, Argentina, and Germany navigated through their groups as expected. The knockout rounds would bring together 32 nations' dreams and reduce them gradually until only 2 remained. One of the tournament's enduring mysteries involved Brazil's striker Ronaldo before the final. Ronaldo had been Brazil's best player throughout the competition, scoring crucial goals and creating chances with his pace and skill. However, on the day of the final, reports emerged of a medical issue or seizure. Ronaldo's name was initially left off the team sheet, then added back at the last minute. The circumstances were confusing and have never been fully explained. When the final began, Ronaldo played but appeared far from his best, seeming distracted or unwell. The final took place on July 12 at the Stade de France in Saint-Denis, near Paris. France faced Brazil knowing they were playing for their first World Cup title before their home supporters. The atmosphere was charged with anticipation and nervous energy, with French fans desperate to see their team claim glory. The match became a triumph for France and particularly for Zinedine Zidane. The midfielder scored twice in the first half, both goals coming from headers at corners. Brazil, missing the fully fit Ronaldo they had relied upon throughout the tournament, could not find their rhythm or mount a serious challenge. France added a third goal late in the match and won by 3-0. The victory sparked enormous celebrations across France. The team's diversity, with players of various ethnic backgrounds representing the nation together, became a symbol of modern French identity. Zidane, born to Algerian parents, became a national hero. The tournament had showcased French organizational ability and their team's quality, and the victory provided a moment of unity and joy for the nation. For Brazil, the defeat was disappointing and puzzling. The mystery surrounding Ronaldo's condition before the match added to their frustration. They had reached the final but had failed to perform when it mattered most, and questions about what had happened to Ronaldo lingered long after the tournament ended. France 1998 had successfully accommodated 32 teams and had produced a worthy champion in the host nation. Croatia's third-place finish added to the tournament's positive stories, and the expansion to 32 teams had proven workable. The golden goal rule had created some dramatic moments but also controversy about whether it truly served the game well. As teams departed France and as French celebrations continued, the World Cup had crowned a new champion and had shown once again its power to create sporting drama and national pride. The 2002 World Cup made history by being held in Asia for the first time and by being co-hosted by two nations, South Korea and Japan. The tournament took place from May 31st through June 30th, with matches distributed between the two countries. The co-hosting arrangement reflected both nations' desire to host and FIFA's decision to share the honor rather than choosing between them. The relationship between South Korea and Japan, complicated by historical tensions, added an interesting dimension to their cooperation in hosting the event. 32 teams participated, maintaining the expanded format introduced in 1998. The matches were played in sometimes very humid conditions, with early kickoff times scheduled to suit European television audiences. This meant some matches took place in morning or early afternoon hours in Asia, creating unusual atmospheres with relatively sparse crowds for some games while others were well attended. The tournament began with a shocking result when defending champions France were eliminated in the group stage without scoring a single goal. This was the first time a defending champion had failed to score at all, and France's early exit set a tone of unpredictability for the competition. Other traditional powers also struggled, with Argentina joining France in early elimination from the group stage. Brazil arrived at the tournament with a team built around three talented forwards who all wore the letter R in their names. Ronaldo, Rivaldo, and Ronaldinho formed an attacking trio that combined different skills and approaches. Ronaldo, recovering from serious knee injuries that had threatened his career, sought redemption after the mysterious circumstances of the 1998 final. He would find that redemption emphatically. South Korea provided the tournament's most controversial story. The co-hosts reached the semifinals, the best performance ever by an Asian team at a World Cup. Their success thrilled Korean supporters and demonstrated Asian football's growing competitiveness. However, their path to the semifinals was marred by refereeing controversies that raised serious questions about the integrity of their matches. In the round of 16, South Korea faced Italy in a match that featured several questionable decisions by the referee. Italy had what appeared to be a legitimate goal disallowed, and they had a player sent off in a decision that seemed harsh. South Korea eventually won in extra time with a golden goal. The Italian team and supporters were furious, believing they had been cheated out of progression. The controversy intensified in the quarter-finals when South Korea faced Spain. Again, the refereeing proved contentious, with Spain having 2 goals disallowed that appeared legitimate on television replays. The match went to a penalty shootout, which South Korea won. The Spanish were devastated and angry, and questions about the refereeing became a major story overshadowing South Korea's achievement. These controversies, particularly the refereeing decisions favoring the co-hosts, damaged the tournament's credibility. Whether the poor officiating reflected incompetence, pressure, or something more sinister was debated extensively. What was clear was that South Korea's run to the semifinals, which should have been celebrated as an achievement for Asian football, was instead tainted by suspicion and anger from the teams they had eliminated. Brazil progressed through the tournament with growing confidence. Ronaldo scored in multiple matches, showing that he had fully recovered from his injuries and regained his world-class form. Brazil defeated Belgium in the round of 16, then overcame England in the quarter-finals. In the semi-finals, they faced Turkey and won by 1-0, reaching their third consecutive World Cup final. Germany also reached the semi-finals, where they faced South Korea. The Germans won convincingly, ending the Korean run and setting up a final against Brazil. The German path had been steadier and less controversial than South Korea's, though they were not considered favorites against the talented Brazilians. The final took place on June 30th in Yokohama, Japan. Brazil faced Germany in a match that would determine which nation would win a record 5th World Cup title. Ronaldo scored both Brazilian goals in a 2-0 victory, securing the trophy for Brazil and completing his personal redemption. The striker finished the tournament with 8 goals, claiming the Golden Boot as top scorer and exorcising the demons of 1998. For Brazil, the victory represented a return to the summit of world football. They had now won the World Cup 5 times, more than any other nation. Ronaldo had proven himself once again as one of the game's greats, overcoming serious injuries to lead his country to glory. The Brazilian team had played attractive, attacking football throughout, winning admirers even as they collected the trophy. The 2002 World Cup had been the first held in Asia and the first co-hosted by 2 nations. These historic firsts were positive achievements. However, the tournament was also marred by the refereeing controversies, particularly around South Korea's matches, which left questions about fairness and integrity. Brazil's triumph provided a worthy conclusion, but the tournament's legacy remained complicated by the suspicions that had surrounded some results. As teams departed Asia, the World Cup had demonstrated both the global reach of football and the importance of maintaining standards of fair officiating to preserve the competition's credibility. The 2006 World Cup took place in Germany from June 9th through July 9th, returning the tournament to a traditional European football nation. Germany had previously hosted as West Germany in 1974, and now the reunified nation welcomed the world's teams to stadiums across the country. The tournament became known as a summer fairy tale in Germany, celebrated for its warm atmosphere, excellent organization, and the joyful spirit that characterized the event both on and off the pitch. 32 teams participated in the familiar format of 8 groups followed by knockout rounds. Germany had invested in modernizing stadiums and infrastructure, creating venues that were both functional and atmospheric. The weather cooperated with warm summer conditions that created ideal circumstances for football, and the German public embraced the tournament with enthusiasm that surprised even their own organizers. The tournament took place without the golden goal rule that had been used in 1998 and 2002. FIFA had decided to abandon this experiment, returning to the traditional format where extra time consisted of 2 full 15-minute periods regardless of whether goals were scored. This change was welcomed by those who felt the golden goal had encouraged excessive caution rather than the attacking play it was meant to promote. The group stages produced the expected progression of most strong teams, though there were surprises and upsets. Australia qualified from their group, showing the growth of football in that nation. Ghana also impressed, representing African football with pride and skill. The knockout rounds would bring together teams from across the globe, all dreaming of reaching the final in Berlin. Italy navigated through their knockout matches with defensive solidity and tactical intelligence. They defeated Australia controversially in the round of 16, winning through a last-minute penalty that many observers felt was harshly awarded. They then overcame Ukraine and Germany to reach the final. Their path had been difficult, but their experience and organization carried them through challenging moments. France also progressed through the knockout stages, with Zinedine Zidane producing performances that reminded the world of his exceptional talent. At 34 years old, Zidane had announced this would be his final tournament before retirement, and he seemed determined to conclude his career with another World Cup triumph. France defeated Spain, Brazil, and Portugal to reach the final, with Zidane's vision and skill crucial to their success. The final, scheduled for July 9th in Berlin, brought together Italy and France in a match that promised tactical sophistication and individual quality. The atmosphere in Berlin was celebratory, with supporters of both nations mingling in the city's streets and squares. The stage was set for what should have been a fitting conclusion to a successful tournament. The match began with both teams showing attacking intent. Zidane scored an early penalty, giving France the lead and raising hopes of a storybook ending to his career. Italy equalized through a header, and the match moved into its later stages with the score level at 1 goal each. As regulation time ended and extra time began, the tension grew. Then came the moment that would define the final and become one of football's most infamous incidents. In the second period of extra time, with the match still tied and heading toward penalties, Zidane and Italy's Marco Materazzi exchanged words. Moments later, television cameras captured Zidane turning and head-butting Materazzi in the chest. The Italian fell to the ground, and after consultation with his assistants, the referee showed Zidane a red card. Zidane's walk from the pitch, passing the World Cup trophy he would never lift, became an iconic and tragic image. The greatest French player of his generation had ended his career with an act of violence rather than a moment of triumph. The reasons for his action were debated extensively, with reports suggesting Materazzi had made offensive comments about Zidane's family, though this did not excuse the response. With Zidane dismissed, the match proceeded to a penalty shootout. Italy converted all their penalties with calm precision. France missed one, and Italy won the shootout by 5-3, claiming their 4th World Cup title. The Italian celebrations were joyful but somewhat muted by the strange circumstances of the final. Miroslav Klose of Germany finished as top scorer with 5 goals, helping the host nation reach the semi-finals before they were eliminated by Italy. The tournament had been praised for its atmosphere and organization, often called a summer fairy tale for how well it had been received and how warmly German supporters had welcomed visitors. The 2006 World Cup had showcased excellent football and strong organization. Germany had proven itself a capable host, creating a tournament atmosphere that balanced competitiveness with celebration. Italy had won the title through defensive strength and penalty shootout success. However, the final would be remembered as much for Zidane's red card as for Italy's triumph. A reminder that even the greatest players can make choices that overshadow their brilliance. As teams departed Germany, the tournament had provided memorable moments, both glorious and regrettable, demonstrating the intense emotions that football can generate at the highest level. The 2010 World Cup made history by being held in Africa for the first time. South Africa hosted the tournament from June 11th through July 11th, and the event represented a milestone for African football and a statement about the continent's ability to host major global sporting events. The tournament took place during South Africa's winter, providing generally mild conditions for matches, though altitude at some venues again presented challenges for players and influenced tactics. 32 teams gathered across South African cities, and the tournament became known for several distinctive features. The sound of vuvuzelas, long plastic horns blown by supporters in the stadiums, created a constant buzzing drone that characterized the tournament's atmosphere. While some found the sound annoying and intrusive, others saw it as an authentic expression of South African football culture. Television broadcasters debated whether to filter out the vuvuzela sound from their coverage. The official match ball, called the Jabulani, became controversial among players who complained about its flight behavior. Goalkeepers particularly struggled with how the ball moved through the air, and several goals resulted from shots that dipped or swerved unexpectedly. The ball became a talking point throughout the tournament, with players and coaches voicing frustration about its characteristics. The tournament's atmosphere was celebratory, with South Africa embracing its role as host and using the World Cup to project a positive image to the world. The organization was generally strong, and the new or renovated stadiums provided good venues for matches. Security concerns that had worried some observers proved largely unfounded, and the tournament proceeded smoothly from an organizational standpoint. The group stages saw several surprising results. New Zealand went undefeated in their group, though they still failed to advance due to drawing all their matches. Spain, who would ultimately win the tournament, lost their opening match to Switzerland, raising questions about their ability to succeed. However, Spain recovered to advance from the group stage and showed their quality in the knockout rounds. One of the tournament's most shocking moments came in the round of 16 when Ghana faced Uruguay. The match went to extra time, and in the final seconds Ghana had a goal-bound header cleared off the line by Uruguay's Luis Suarez, who used his hand to prevent the goal. Suarez was sent off and Ghana awarded a penalty, but the spot kick was missed. Uruguay won the subsequent penalty shootout, eliminating Ghana and denying Africa a semi-finalist in Africa's first World Cup. The incident sparked debate about whether Suarez's deliberate handball was cynical gamesmanship or simply a player making a calculated sacrifice for his team. Spain progressed through the knockout stages with victories that showcased their possession-based playing style. They defeated Portugal, Paraguay, and Germany to reach the final. Their football was built on technical excellence and patient build-up play, controlling matches through superior passing and movement. The Spanish midfield, featuring players like Xavi Hernandez and Andrés Iniesta, was considered the best in world football. The Netherlands also advanced through the knockout rounds, reaching their third World Cup final. They had lost finals in 1974 and 1978, and they arrived at this final desperate to finally claim the trophy that had eluded Dutch football for so long. Their path had included victories over Slovakia, Brazil, and Uruguay. The final took place on July 11th in Johannesburg at Soccer City Stadium. Spain and the Netherlands faced each other in a match that would crown the tournament's champion. The Netherlands approached the match with physical intensity, committing numerous fouls and receiving multiple yellow cards for their rough challenges. The referee struggled to maintain control as the match became increasingly fractious. The match remained goalless through 90 minutes despite chances for both teams. Extra time brought continued tension and physical play. Then, in the 116th minute, Andrés Iniesta scored for Spain, striking a shot past the Dutch goalkeeper to give Spain the lead. The goal sparked wild Spanish celebrations and Dutch despair. Spain held on through the remaining minutes to win by 1-0, claiming their first World Cup title. The victory completed a remarkable period of success for Spanish football, as they had also won the European Championship in 2008 and would win it again in 2012. Iniesta's goal had given Spain their long-awaited triumph. Four players finished tied as top scorers with 5 goals each: Thomas Müller of Germany, David Villa of Spain, Wesley Sneijder of the Netherlands, and Diego Forlán of Uruguay. Müller was awarded the Golden Boot based on having more assists than the others, a tiebreaker that seemed somewhat arbitrary but had to be applied. The 2010 World Cup had successfully brought the tournament to Africa, demonstrating the continent's capability to host such a major event. The Vuvuzelas had created a unique soundtrack, the Jabulani ball had frustrated players, and Spain had claimed their first title. South Africa had embraced its hosting role with warmth and enthusiasm, and the tournament had generally been well received despite some concerns about the quality of football in certain matches. As teams departed South Africa, the World Cup had expanded its geographical reach once more and had crowned a deserving champion in Spain. The 2014 World Cup returned to Brazil from June 12 through July 13, marking the second time Brazil had hosted the tournament. The first occasion in 1950 had ended with the traumatic Maracanazo defeat, and Brazil approached this hosting opportunity with a mixture of excitement and apprehension. The country had invested heavily in stadiums and infrastructure, though the spending had provoked controversy and protests from Brazilians concerned about social priorities. 32 teams participated in the familiar format, with matches spread across Brazilian cities from the Amazon region to the southern states. The tournament took place during Brazil's winter, providing generally comfortable conditions for matches. Brazil entered as hosts and as a nation obsessed with finally winning the World Cup on home soil, an achievement that had eluded them in 1950. The tournament was praised for producing attacking football, with an average of about 2.7 goals per match, higher than several recent World Cups. Teams generally showed ambition and willingness to attack, creating entertaining matches that pleased neutral observers. The quality of play was generally high, and several matches produced dramatic moments and exceptional goals. Germany arrived at the tournament with a well-organized team built around a core of experienced players. They had been building toward this tournament for years, developing young talents and creating a tactical system that balanced defensive solidity with attacking creativity. Their preparation and planning would prove crucial as the tournament progressed. The group stages proceeded with mostly expected results, though there were surprises and upsets. Costa Rica emerged from a difficult group that included Italy, England, and Uruguay, demonstrating that smaller nations could compete when tactically disciplined and organized. Colombia also impressed with attacking play led by James Rodriguez, whose performances would make him one of the tournament's breakout stars. Brazil navigated through the group stage and into the knockout rounds, advancing despite some unconvincing performances. Their talisman Neymar carried much of the creative burden, and Brazilian hopes rested heavily on his shoulders. The pressure on Brazil was immense, with a nation expecting and demanding success on home soil. The knockout stages produced several memorable matches. Brazil defeated Chile on penalties after a tense encounter, then overcame Colombia in the quarterfinals. However, this victory came at an enormous cost. Neymar suffered a back injury from a brutal challenge late in the match. The injury was serious enough to end his tournament, leaving Brazil to face Germany in the semifinals without their best player. Germany had progressed through their knockout matches with impressive performances. They defeated Algeria, France, and then faced Brazil in the semifinal in Belo Horizonte. What followed was one of the most astonishing matches in World Cup history. Germany scored 5 goals in the first half hour, overwhelming a Brazilian team that seemed to collapse psychologically and tactically. The final score was 7-1 in Germany's favor, a result so shocking that it immediately entered football folklore. For Brazil, the defeat was catastrophic and traumatic. Losing by such a margin in a World Cup semi-final on home soil created a national crisis of confidence. Brazilian supporters were devastated, many in tears at the stadium and across the country. The match became known simply as the 7-1, and it represented perhaps the lowest moment in Brazilian football history. The absence of Neymar had been a factor, but it could not fully explain the scale of the collapse. Germany's stunning victory sent them to the final against Argentina, while Brazil had to regroup for the third-place match. They lost that game to the Netherlands, compounding their disappointment. The tournament that was supposed to bring redemption for 1950 had instead created a new trauma. The final took place on July 13 at the Maracanã in Rio de Janeiro, the same stadium where Brazil's 1950 dream had died. Germany faced Argentina in a match that would determine which nation would claim their fourth World Cup title. Argentina relied heavily on Lionel Messi, their brilliant forward who was seeking to add a World Cup to his collection of individual honors. The match was tense and closely contested, with few clear chances created by either team. Regulation time ended goalless, and the match moved into extra time. In the 113th minute, Germany's Mario Götze controlled a cross and volleyed the ball past the Argentine goalkeeper. The goal gave Germany the lead and ultimately the victory. As Argentina could not respond, Germany had won their fourth World Cup title, doing so through a tournament where they had played consistently excellent football. Their semi-final demolition of Brazil had been the tournament's defining moment, but their final victory over Argentina confirmed their superiority. Miroslav Klose had become the all-time leading World Cup scorer during the tournament, surpassing Ronaldo's previous record by finishing his career with 16 World Cup goals. James Rodriguez of Colombia won the Golden Boot as top scorer with 6 goals, his performances having been one of the tournament's highlights despite Colombia's quarter-final exit. The tournament had been praised for its attacking football and had generally been well organized despite pre-tournament concerns about stadium construction delays. Brazil 2014 had given Germany their fourth title and had created unforgettable moments both glorious and traumatic. The 7-1 defeat would haunt Brazilian football for years to come, while Germany could celebrate a triumph built on years of careful planning and development. As teams departed Brazil, the tournament had demonstrated once again football's power to create both joy and devastation, sometimes for the same nation within the space of a few days. The 2018 World Cup took place in Russia from June 14th through July 15th, marking the first time the tournament had been held in Russia and the first time it had been held in Eastern Europe. The decision to award the tournament to Russia had been controversial due to political tensions and concerns about human rights, but FIFA proceeded with Russia as host. The tournament would unfold across 11 Russian cities spanning vast distances from west to east. 32 teams participated, though this would be the last World Cup with this number of teams before the planned expansion to 48 teams for future tournaments. The format remained the familiar 8 groups followed by knockout rounds. Russia invested heavily in stadiums and infrastructure, creating venues that ranged from newly built structures to renovated historical stadiums. The tournament introduced video assistant referee technology, known as VAR, for the first time at a World Cup. This system allowed referees to review certain decisions using video replays, aiming to reduce clear errors in crucial moments. The introduction was significant and would prove controversial at times, with debates about when VAR should intervene and how much time reviews should take. Despite teething problems, VAR represented an important step in using technology to improve officiating. The group stages produced several shocking results. Germany, the defending champions, were eliminated in the group stage, finishing bottom of their group after defeats to Mexico and South Korea. This marked the first time Germany had failed to advance past the group stage since 1938, and it represented a stunning collapse for a team that had won the previous tournament. Spain and Portugal also had difficult group stages, though both advanced. England reached the semi-finals, their best World Cup performance since 1990. They played with energy and organization, benefiting from a relatively favorable draw that saw them avoid the tournament's strongest teams until the later rounds. Their progress created enthusiasm back in England, though they would ultimately fall short of reaching the final. Croatia emerged as one of the tournament's great stories. The small nation, with a population of just over 4 million, reached the World Cup final for the first time in their history. Their path was remarkable, with 3 consecutive knockout matches going to extra time. Croatia showed enormous resilience and determination, repeatedly coming from behind to win matches they seemed destined to lose. Their midfielder Luka Modric orchestrated their play with exceptional skill and vision. France progressed through the tournament with a blend of defensive solidity and attacking talent. They had young forwards with pace and skill, combined with experienced defenders and a strong goalkeeper. France defeated Argentina in a thrilling round of 16 match that showcased both teams' attacking abilities. They then eliminated Uruguay and Belgium to reach the final, playing pragmatic football that prioritized results over entertainment. The final took place on July 15 in Moscow at Luzhniki Stadium. France faced Croatia in a match that would crown the tournament's champion. Croatia's exhausting path through 3 extra-time matches raised questions about their physical freshness, while France had navigated more efficiently to the final. The match began with controversy when France were awarded a free kick that led to an own goal by Croatia. VAR was then used to award France a penalty, a decision that sparked debate about whether the handball that led to the penalty was deliberate enough to warrant the punishment. France converted the penalty and led by 2-1 at halftime. The second half saw France extend their lead through goals from Paul Pogba and Kylian Mbappé, the 19-year-old forward who had emerged as one of the tournament's brightest stars. Croatia scored again, but France held on to win by 4-2, claiming their second World Cup title 20 years after their first triumph in 1998. The victory confirmed France as the dominant team of the tournament. Their blend of young talent and experienced players had proven highly effective, and their pragmatic approach had delivered results even when their performances lacked aesthetic beauty. Mbappé's emergence as a global star provided France with a player who would likely dominate world football for years to come. Harry Kane of England won the Golden Boot as top scorer with 6 goals, though his total included 3 penalties. Croatia's Luka Modric was awarded the Golden Ball as the tournament's best player, recognition for his performances throughout Croatia's remarkable run to the final. The tournament had been well organized despite pre-tournament concerns, and Russia had proven itself a capable host. The crowds had been generally well behaved, with few major incidents of violence or disorder. The football had been entertaining, with some matches producing dramatic moments and unexpected results. VAR's introduction had been significant, and while the technology had worked better than some feared, it also raised questions that would need to be addressed in future tournaments. The delays caused by reviews and the inconsistency in when VAR intervened created frustration among players, coaches, and supporters. Russia 2018 had crowned France as worthy champions and had given Croatia a moment of glory in reaching the final. Germany's shocking early exit had been the tournament's biggest surprise, while England's progress to the semi-finals had rekindled hopes among their supporters. The introduction of VAR marked a new era for World Cup officiating, one that promised greater accuracy but also new complications. As teams departed Russia, the tournament had provided memorable moments and had demonstrated once again the World Cup's ability to create drama and inspire passion across the globe. The 2022 World Cup took place in Qatar from November 20th through December 18th, marking the first World Cup held in the Middle East and the first played during winter months rather than summer. The timing change was necessary to avoid Qatar's extreme heat. The tournament was controversial due to concerns about human rights and treatment of migrant workers who built the infrastructure. Qatar had invested heavily in compact venues around Doha, meaning minimal travel between matches. 32 teams participated in the last World Cup with this number before expansion to 48 teams in 2026. The winter timing meant players arrived directly from their club seasons, raising concerns about fatigue. The group stages produced dramatic results. Argentina, led by Lionel Messi in his final World Cup, lost their opening match to Saudi Arabia in one of the tournament's greatest upsets. However, Argentina recovered to advance and would go on to have a remarkable tournament. Germany failed to advance past the group stage for the second consecutive World Cup. Morocco emerged as the tournament's great surprise, becoming the first African nation to reach the semi-finals. They defeated Belgium, Spain, and Portugal along the way, uniting African and Arab supporters worldwide. Their defensive organization and counter-attacking threat made them genuine contenders. France progressed with the goal of becoming the first nation since Brazil in 1962 to successfully defend the title. They defeated Poland, England, and Morocco to reach the final. Kylian Mbappé continued to establish himself as one of the world's premier players. Argentina's path saw them defeat Australia, the Netherlands on penalties, and Croatia in the semi-finals. Messi scored in multiple matches and orchestrated Argentina's play with his vision and brilliance. At 35 years old, he was seeking the one trophy that had eluded him. The final at Lusail Stadium brought together Argentina and France in a match that would be remembered as one of the greatest World Cup finals ever played. The match featured multiple lead changes and individual performances of the highest quality. Argentina led by 2-0 with Messi scoring. However, Mbappé scored twice in quick succession late in the match to equalize, forcing extra time. In extra time, Messi scored again to give Argentina the lead. France equalized through Mbappé, who completed his hat trick to become only the second player ever to score 3 goals in a World Cup final. When extra time ended at 3 goals each, the match went to a penalty shootout. Argentina converted all 4 penalties while France missed 2. Argentina won the shootout by 4-2, claiming their 3rd World Cup title and giving Messi the trophy that completed his legacy. The celebrations were extraordinary as Messi, who had carried Argentina with 7 goals and numerous assists, lifted the trophy in triumph. Mbappé finished as top scorer with 8 goals, including his final hat trick. Despite ending in defeat, his performance in the final was one of the finest individual displays ever seen. The Golden Ball Award went to Messi for his overall contribution throughout the tournament. The Qatar World Cup produced exceptional football despite pre-tournament controversies. The final is regarded as one of the greatest ever. Morocco's run to the semi-finals brought pride to Africa and the Arab world. The compact venues created a unique atmosphere. As the tournament concluded with Argentina's celebration, the 2022 World Cup entered history as the last 32-team tournament and as the stage for Messi's crowning achievement. The World Cup had once again demonstrated its ability to create moments of pure sporting theater and provide a stage for the world's greatest players to pursue immortality. As we reflect on the complete journey of the FIFA World Cup from its inception in 1930 through to the dramatic final in Qatar in 2022, patterns emerge that reveal both the evolution of football and the enduring elements that have made this tournament so compelling across nearly a century of competition. The World Cup began as an experiment in 1930, with just 13 teams making the journey to Uruguay. The vision of Jules Rimet and others who championed the creation of a global football competition has grown into the world's most watched sporting event, with billions of people following each tournament. What started in 3 stadiums in Montevideo has expanded to span continents and unite nations in shared passion for the beautiful game. The tournament's geographical journey tells its own story. From South America to Europe, from North America to Asia and Africa, and finally to the Middle East, the World Cup has truly become a global event. Each host nation has brought its own character and culture to the tournament, from Uruguay's centennial celebrations to Germany's summer fairy tale, from Mexico's altitude challenges to Qatar's winter timing. The competition has adapted to different climates, cultures, and circumstances while maintaining its essential character. The evolution of the tournament's size reflects football's expanding reach. 13 teams in 1930 grew to 16 by 1934, remained at that number for decades, then expanded to 24 in 1982, and finally to 32 in 1998. Each expansion brought new nations into the competition and allowed more of the world to participate in football's greatest stage. The planned expansion to 48 teams represents the next chapter in this ongoing growth. The tactical evolution of football can be traced through World Cup history. The free-flowing attacking play of the early tournaments gave way to more defensive approaches in later decades, before the pendulum swung back toward attacking football. Total football revolutionized tactical thinking in 1974. The catenaccio defensive systems of Italy contrasted with the samba style of Brazil. Each era brought new ideas about how the game should be played, and the World Cup provided the laboratory where these philosophies were tested at the highest level. Individual brilliance has illuminated every tournament. Pelé emerged as a 17-year-old in Sweden and won 3 World Cups, a feat unmatched by any player. Maradona carried Argentina to glory through a combination of genius and controversy. Zinedine Zidane's elegance graced multiple tournaments before his final ended in infamy. Ronaldo overcame devastating injuries to redeem himself with goals in the 2002 final. Lionel Messi finally claimed the trophy that completed his legacy in 2022. These players and countless others have provided moments that transcend sport and enter cultural memory. The tournament has also witnessed heartbreak and tragedy. Brazil's Maracanazo in 1950 created a national trauma. Hungary's mighty Magyars lost a final they seemed destined to win. The Netherlands reached 3 finals without ever claiming victory. Germany suffered shocking eliminations despite their consistent excellence. Individual players have missed crucial penalties, suffered injuries at critical moments, and seen their dreams shattered by the cruel mathematics of goal difference or the lottery of shootouts. Controversies have shadowed certain tournaments. The 1934 and 1938 competitions occurred under fascist regimes that used football for propaganda. Argentina 1978 took place under military dictatorship with persistent questions about match fixing. Refereeing controversies marred South Korea's 2002 run. Qatar 2022 sparked debates about human rights and worker treatment. These controversies remind us that football does not exist in isolation from politics and society, and that the World Cup cannot entirely escape the complexities of the world in which it takes place. The World Cup has produced memorable matches that have entered football folklore. Italy versus Brazil in 1982 stands as a classic encounter of attacking brilliance. The hand of God and the goal of the century occurred in the same 1986 match between Argentina and England. Germany's 7-1 demolition of Brazil in 2014 produced a result so shocking it seemed impossible. The 2022 final between Argentina and France, with its multiple comebacks and penalty shootout conclusion, reminded us why we watch football and why the World Cup matters. Certain nations have dominated the trophy count. Brazil leads with 5 titles, their yellow shirts synonymous with World Cup excellence. Germany and Italy have won 4 times each, demonstrating European football strength and consistency. Argentina, France, and Uruguay have claimed the trophy multiple times. England's single triumph in 1966 remains their defining sporting moment. Spain's 2010 victory completed a golden era for Spanish football. These champions have all contributed to the tournament's rich history. The World Cup has also been shaped by those who did not win. The Netherlands' total football influenced generations despite never claiming the trophy. Portugal's golden generation came close but fell short. Belgium's talented teams have underperformed. These near misses add poignancy to the tournament's narrative and remind us that talent alone does not guarantee success. Technology has gradually entered the World Cup. Yellow and red cards introduced in 1970 brought visual clarity to discipline. Goal line technology reduced controversial decisions about whether balls crossed the line. VAR in 2018 represented the biggest technological shift, allowing referees to review key decisions. Each innovation has sparked debate about tradition versus progress, about the human element versus accuracy. The tournament has given us moments of pure sporting theater across the decades. Matches played in torrential rain, on waterlogged pitches, at extreme altitude, and in sweltering heat have all contributed to the World Cup's rich tapestry. Underdogs have triumphed against impossible odds. Favorites have stumbled when victory seemed certain. The beautiful game has shown us both its beauty and its cruelty, often in the same afternoon. The evolution of playing styles can be seen when comparing tournaments across the eras. The physical, sometimes brutal matches of the 1960s gave way to more technical approaches. The defensive caution of Italia 1990 prompted rule changes to encourage attacking play. The high-scoring matches of Switzerland 1954 contrast sharply with the tight tactical battles of more recent tournaments. Each era has reflected the football philosophies and priorities of its time. The World Cup has survived world wars, boycotts, political tensions, and controversies to emerge stronger with each cycle. It has provided moments of unity in divided times and has reminded us of sport's power to inspire and unite. The tournament has made heroes of unexpected players, broken the hearts of favorites, and created memories that span generations. Host nations have experienced the unique pressure and opportunity of playing before their own supporters. Some, like Uruguay in 1930, England in 1966, West Germany in 1974, Argentina in 1978, and France in 1998, have claimed glory on home soil. Others, like Brazil in 1950 and 2014, have endured heartbreak that cut deeper because it happened at home. The host nation's journey adds an extra dimension to each tournament's narrative. As we conclude this journey through World Cup history from 1930 to 2022, we recognize that the tournament is more than a sporting competition. It is a global cultural event that reflects our shared humanity through the universal language of football. It is a stage where nations pursue glory, where players chase immortality, and where millions of supporters invest their hopes and dreams. The World Cup endures because it matters, because it creates stories worth telling, and because every 4 years it reminds us why we fell in love with this beautiful game in the first place. From Uruguay's celebration in 1930 to Messi's triumph in Qatar, the tournament has provided a continuous thread of sporting excellence, human drama, and shared experience that connects generations across nearly a century of competition.